Madam President, I rise to speak on the Affordable Care Act. Madam President, today I am so relieved that the Supreme Court has upheld the Affordable Care Act as constitutional. With this ruling, our nation's highest court has made it clear that no matter who you are, a man or a woman, a senior facing cancer, a child with juvenile diabetes, will have health care that's available, reliable, and undeniable. Health care reform has achieved many goals that the American people wanted us to do. One, expanding universal access. Now 32 million people will have health care that they didn't have before. Second, it breaks the stranglehold of insurance companies, ending their punitive practices, particularly in those areas of pre-existing conditions where they denied health care because a child might have autism or asthma, or for we women, they had a particular approach where they charged us more for men of comparable health status, 30% more, and then they treated simply being a woman as a pre-existing condition. Pregnancy, sometimes the need for a C-section. In some states, being a victim of domestic violence was considered a pre-existing condition. We ended that practice. We also saved and strengthened Medicare, and we emphasized prevention, early detection and screening that will save lives, improve lives, and also save money. I'm proud of what we did in Congress with the universal coverage. For the first time in our history, we are committed to covering every single American with health care. And it helps young families be able to look out for their children. It helps young adults recently graduated from college, some looking for a job, some working in startups where there's no health insurance. Because of health care reform, 52,000 young adults in Maryland will have coverage on their parents' policy while they go back to school, look for a job, or get that entrepreneurial spirit going. And then there's these punitive practices of the insurance company. Much is being said about how we interfere with your right to see the doctor, your doctor of your choice, or get health care. Well, that's what insurance companies have been doing for years. People in pinstripes sitting in boardrooms made, decisions on who could get health care and who couldn't. So we've stopped them from denying family health insurance. We stopped insurance companies from denying children's coverage. And Congress ended, as I said, the discrimination against women. I remember when they tried to take our mammograms away, and I just said no, and organized the Preventive Health Care Amendment. But when we women fought to have access to mammograms and other things related to our particular life needs, the fact is that we wanted it for the men too. So when we organized for the Prevention Amendment so that we could limit the need on co-pays for this, it was so we women could have access to mammograms, so that the men could have access to the screening for prostate cancer, so all Americans could get that screening for the dreaded C words like colon cancer. How about diabetes and heart disease? These are the kinds of things that if you can have early detection and early screening will save lives and also stay the spread or the disease getting worse. Takes the terrible situation of diabetes. Undetected, uncontrolled, and unmanaged, diabetes can result in the loss of an eye, the loss of a kidney, the loss of a leg, all because you've lost your health insurance. But because of what we've done in the Affordable Health Care Act, not only will you have health care, but you'll have the preventive services where early on you'll be able to examine exactly where you are, have access to a diabetic educator, have the kind of monitoring and coaching that you need, and hopefully diabetes comes under control, and guess what? Our health care cost comes under control. That's what we did in this bill, and I'm really, really proud of it. I travel my state a lot. And as I went from, diner to diner out there in the community, where I could just talk to the people unfettered, unprogrammed, unchoreographed, what they said to me was, Barb, I not only worry about losing my job, but I worry about losing my health insurance. I don't know what will happen to my family. I fear that I am one healthcare catastrophe away from family bankruptcy. I want to make sure that my family's taken care of. And I talk to small business. How could they afford that? They need predictability. They need understanding, and they need to have access through something called the healthcare exchange, where it'll be like an economic mall, where they will be able to go to the health exchange and see the whole lineup of private health insurance companies and the benefit that they offer. So small business will be able to navigate that and see what do they need, what can they afford for the benefits for their workers. This is the American way. This does use market techniques, but at the same time, we don't use a free market to endanger the people in terms of universal access and some of these others. And there are many things to this bill, and one of the other things that I liked so much was that we insist that 80% of the premium you pay goes into health care, not into the executives' pockets for perks, privilege, or profits. Now, I believe in the free enterprise system, and I believe in profit, but I don't believe in profiteering. So we said 20% goes into administrative cost, and if you can control those, you'll make a bigger profit. But 80% has to actually go rewarding providers for the health care that they do, for their education, for their training. I just think it's terrific. And this August, this part of the bill is already kicked in. My constituents in Maryland will see over $5 million returned to them because we insisted in this provision. So we are for providers getting what they need in terms of reimbursement, but at the same time, looking at making sure it goes into the health care that they need. So today, we've had the ruling of the court. I was out there on the steps of the Supreme Court, and I loved every minute of it. Madam President, as you know, I got into politics as a neighborhood protester. I fought a highway, and I fought the downtown establishment, and I fought the political bosses. And what I've said is I've talked to young people around the world, particularly those who have aspirations in autocratic or dictatorial environments, that, in America, when you're a protester, they don't put you in jail, they send you to the Senate. I'm here because of the First Amendment of the Constitution, free speech, freedom of assembly. But when I was out there on the steps today and heard the roar of the crowd, whether it was the Tea Party who had access to a microphone, whether it was me who had access to a microphone, that the founders' vision of America worked. What did they do? They believed in limited government. They believed they believed in checks and balances. No president should have unlimited power. No Congress should have unbridled power. And the Supreme Court would be an independent judiciary to act as the referee. President Obama proposed the bill. We duked it out in the Congress. We passed it and sent it out to the land, but there have been legal challenges. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court looked at the bill, not for utility or even desirability. They looked at it for constitutionality. And today they ruled that the bill was constitutional. I'm sure somewhere there's Tom Jefferson, John Adams, and his wife Abigail, who said they lived the Constitution, and in that health care bill, by the way, John, they didn't forget the ladies. Madam President, I yield the floor.